All right, welcome to the Call Us Villains. I'm the commission. I'm joined today by Big Boss Mailman. No DG tonight. He's missing out, but he had to do his duty, his family duty.
Yeah. Happy anniversary, DG and Caroline. Many more wedding anniversaries to come, and
Happy anniversary.
what other blessings the world and life will give you. So we're looking forward to two good people.
Yep.
Very nice, great people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Caroline actually sent me one time suggestions for topics. It was like Simpsons
Oh yeah. Of
episodes.
course, of course. We
That's
could talk
pretty good.
about how like it went from like not even like the graphics itself, but just like how it
Yeah.
went from like different topics to like we got to like real world like
Oh yeah.
predicting stuff too, like predicting the
Yeah.
whole Ebola and 9/11 and the
Oh
Trump
yeah.
and just like, dude, like,
I was
yeah,
talking to somebody about it, about how like I only watched up to a certain time period, and
right,
then he was telling me how like there's kids who like they weren't alive during that time, so their time period
yes,
for The Simpsons is completely different. You know what I
correct,
mean? So
correct.
they, if someone like born like 10 years ago, they started watching, I don't know,
10 years ago,
2017 maybe, or
they would have been right into the Family Guy saga. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
before there was Family Guy, there was The Simpsons and just like King of the Hill too. I mean, oh man,
yeah,
King of the Hill is
they
like
got it. Oh, those were classics, King of
those
the
are
Hill.
classic, man. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I heard that they're trying to come up with like new episodes on Hulu, so that's pretty
Oh,
cool. I
really?
think they did like a whole season right before the voice of Del Gribble. I don't know the gentleman's
Oh,
name,
yeah,
but
he died.
he died this year.
Died.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's pretty. It's like they did all the episodes. He's gonna be in it. It's kind of strange because it's like Brittany Murphy, the voice of Luann. She passed
Oh,
away
yeah.
too.
She's gone. Wow, I
She's
forgot
gone
about her.
too. Yeah. And then Lucky, her what was it? They got married in the show. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
he
The
was
the singer.
the singer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm like
I
blanking on
I'm
his name.
blanking on him too, but he's I like him. Oh, Tom Petty. Tom
Tom
Petty. That's
Petty.
what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So it's like it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. All right, Brian, you want to talk about some Dodgers? The Dodgers letting us
Yes.
down.
So baseball is my first love. It's my first ever passion in sports, and even my brother reminds me. He's like, "Oh man, like I remember, like you're really into the Dodgers," and so it
Yeah.
doesn't mean to say that I'm not, but ever since I started playing fantasy football, it's kind of taken a backseat. Like I'm like
Yeah.
more involved in the football world now. I like watch football more constant than I do baseball. Like once football's on, sadly, baseball kind of does take the backseat for me now. Like it used to be
Yeah.
like my primary sport. Like I would sit or listen to on the radio, watch what have you, all 162 games, postseason, World Series. It didn't even matter if the Dodgers were in the World Series. I was just such a
Right.
baseball fanatic. I was a seam head.
That's one of the things about growing up in LA. Baseball is huge.
Mhm.
People don't
Yes.
realize how big baseball is here.
Yeah, well, the Dodgers have been here since 1958. They moved to Dodger Stadium in 1962. I mean,
It's a big part of the city.
it's a
LA,
huge part of the city.
huge.
The legacy, and I geez, I mean those '80s Dodgers.
Oh, yeah.
The '90s were the decade to forget about because they didn't do anything in the '90s, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have like one of those '80s starter jackets, the Dodger ones.
Oh, those are sweet, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the clubhouse jacket.
Yeah. Like the old '80s, like Fernando Valenzuela looking jackets. They're like shiny.
Yes.
They're
Oh,
almost
those
like
are
satin.
sweet. Those are going for a pretty penny now too.
Oh
Those
yeah,
are hard to find.
I got it on eBay maybe for like $40, but this was like
Oh,
10
dude.
years ago maybe.
Oh, there
So
you go. Yeah,
I think
before
now
like the
they're
whole kind of
crazier.
now
Yeah,
it's just nuts. So the other thing too, Kamish, it's like it's so sad because it's like okay, like people in LA love their Lakers, they love their Dodgers. I mean, when the Raiders were here, I mean, there's still people who are Raiders fans,
oh yeah,
49ers fans. You
oh yeah,
know, we have the Rams now. I mean, we're barely getting our fan base going. And then, like I said last podcast, like I want the Chargers to do good too, because it's like I want both teams to like win championships and just start building that fan base. Like it doesn't even matter like if you're a Charger fan, Ram fan, like as long as you're a fan of the LA team, like I'll be content with that. Because like
right,
the whole thing where it's like you have El Tráfico, which is like the MLS with
yeah,
LAFC, and you got the Galaxy. Galaxy was here first,
oh
but
yeah,
now there's like this divide. But it's like, dude, like those fan bases are like they're gnarly. Like they're into it. Like I mean, granted, yes, we live in a predominantly Latino, Hispanic society here in LA, I mean, it's 99% practically Latino. So we're here. I mean, people are into soccer. The MLS is kind of like those. It's not a big league yet in the States, but here in LA, it's a big thing.
Right.
So it goes back to my original point with the Dodgers. It's like you put in so much time, and the biggest thing is money. I mean, you're charging me $30 for a parking
Oh,
spot.
it's brutal.
You're charging me like the cheapest ticket is like at least on average, maybe like okay, like if it's a game where against like somebody that's not really the darling in baseball, like maybe let's say the Dodgers versus the Pittsburgh Pirates, was an up and coming team actually. They're playing on like on a Tuesday, Wednesday, what have you, matinee game. It's like $40 a ticket, which isn't bad, but you're still listening to nosebleeds. But okay, so you get you in the door. That's $70 right there.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you go and you're gonna get yourself something to eat. Unless you're smart like me, I usually eat before I even go in the gate. I'm like, nah, dude, you're not catching me here. Like, these hot dogs are like $30, and not that great. You go get the tacos or the Philly cheesesteak or a pizza, and it's just like it's just everything's so overpriced.
Yeah.
If you're a parent, don't take your kid to Dodger Stadium.
No, it's absolutely brutal.
I mean, take a credit card with you if you're gonna take your kid with you, because your kid's gonna want everything. I mean, when I take my daughter, she wants everything. She wants a foam finger. She wants a hat. She wants one of those mini bats. She wants a slushie. She wants a pretzel. She wants ice cream. She wants the cookies and what have you. I mean, it's just like, oh, so it's like, great. I'm here. I'm rooting for my blue. 100 games. Even the biggest baseball nerds didn't project the Dodgers to win 100 games this season or even win the West. Granted. But it's the same thing over and over. And yes, I'm going to go throw it out there right up. I'm going to get it out there. The 2020 championship, sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like the Lakers title. It's not a real title.
No, nobody counts it really. It didn't feel like a big deal.
Yeah, and sadly, because it's like that's going to be, I'm going to say it right here as my bold prediction. I think Kershaw, that's it. Like, and my prediction was he was done last year. Right. You bring him back this year, it's great. They make the playoffs. I'm like, oh, let's go. Kershaw, let's get it done. First game, what does he do? He gives up 6-9 runs. It's just like, dude, it's like, what is going on? I remember I tuned into the game getting off of work, too. It was a Saturday, and I'm like, okay, Bob Costas is on. They got Lauren Shahadi. Lauren Shahadi is a great – she's wonderful. I mean, she's does the whole thing with MLB Central, MLB Network. Great work. She's a doll. I mean, she's a doll. And so I'm like, okay, it's a pretty good podcast. Let's go. Oh, dude, that first thing was just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And so, like, I want to kind of get into it because it's like, okay. So, like I said, you got me in. You're in the postseason. Great.
But we're not. You got to get a second mortgage. You got to get a second mortgage to go to the Dodger Stadium.
And then if you want to go to a postseason game, you got to pull out another mortgage or refinance or what have you just to go to that one game.
And you know what, Brian? It didn't used to be like that.
It didn't.
Dodger Stadium used to be cheap. It used to be affordable. They used to have the pavilion. You'd pay maybe
$6.
$6. Yeah, pavilion was $6 and the top deck was $6.
Yes.
And parking, well, they would still get you on the parking because Franklin Court, that was his deal.
Yeah, that's his baby. I mean, he's still making money off of it.
But back then, it was still like $15. It was like $15 for parking.
Yes. Like the low section was like reasonable, $30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the reserve. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could go there. You could go there, spend some money. Like the Dodger dogs were $6.
Yeah.
You could go there and there were $6. Like that's. Yeah. You would still be. It's still pricier, but not that much pricier than a regular hot dog place. You know what I mean?
It's nuts. Yeah.
But now it's like 20. Is it like $20 now?
It's like $20 for a hot dog. Yeah. So that's it. Okay. So like as we're saying right now, so they get you in the door. They're gonna. It's pretty much like Disneyland for adults in a way. Like if you're a true Dodger fan, like it's like the happiest place on earth. You're in blue heaven. It's beautiful, beautiful stadium. It's yes, it isn't one of the oldest stadiums. I think it's the third oldest stadium behind Fenway and Wrigley.
Stadium. It's a beautiful stadium.
Compared to stories from what I've heard from Wrigley, it's like
Yeah.
Wrigley's trash.
Really?
Yes, I've heard a lot of bad things about Wrigley.
Man.
Yeah,
You know, some of it might be sentimental for me for Dodger Stadium. That is just like I think it's beautiful. You know what I mean? Like
I mean, we just
Wrigley's like that for
we
people.
just recently went to Coors Field, and Coors Field was a jam.
Oh yeah.
Oh, beautiful! What a beautiful ballpark. So my hats off to the Rockies. But here's the thing, Commish. Okay, I'm gonna pay all this money. I'm not gonna pay all this money for 100 wins in the regular season and a first round exit. That's 2 years in a row. The first last year against the Padres, this year against the Diamondbacks. I mean, even Magic Johnson himself was part owner. He shot out a tweet out there and he said they didn't hit, they didn't pitch. Simple. Right. And that's what happened.
Oh.
I mean, you have your leadoff guy Mookie Betts, who you're paying him and Freddie Freeman are like your two guys, your anchors are pretty much gonna be here for. They're gonna be in Dodger Blue for a lot of years. I'm not familiar with the contract numbers at the moment, but you have these guys. They're all-stars. They're professional baseball players.
Right.
And they cannot scratch out a hit. And it's just like pathetic. It's like they were down to the third game, 4-0, fifth inning, man on second. They couldn't even score a run. I was like, What is going on? I mean, they're better than this.
Yeah.
They're better than this. It's not like Dennis Green was like, they were who we thought they were. It wasn't like that. The Diamondbacks were not who we thought they were. The Diamondbacks got hot. Right. That's baseball for you. But
got swept like that.
That's okay. So this is like my projection to the future. So it's like I'm waiting for baseball because baseball, it's all analytical now. It's not the years where me and you grew up, the commish, where it's like Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, guys hitting out the yard. Dude, now these guys, it's like the pitch clock is affecting the pitcher. The pitcher has
really.
There's there's some pitchers like Julio Reyes is for one who wasn't even in the series because of his stupid outside behaviors and his machismo. I mean, it's like we could have used them, but you know what? That guy that really messed him up this year. Like the pitch clock, like he's a guy who likes to take his time and likes to just before he like winds up and everything. He's just like he's not a guy who's like good under speed. And so the pitch clock like totally threw him off.
Yeah, I haven't watched a game with the pitch clock so far. Like, I used to watch a lot of baseball before 2020, before the whole COVID thing. And after COVID, I lost touch with a lot of sports. I'm not sure why.
Oh, totally. I mean, I hear you, Commission. I mean, life throws at you fast. I mean, especially after 2020. I mean, like this economy's out of control. It's like we're working more hours.
Right. They just kind of like. They shut everything down, and like you said, like everything was shortened. It didn't feel like a real valid. It didn't feel like a real win. And then it just right now I feel like I'm gearing back up. I'm starting to pay attention again, more. You know what I mean?
And I think everybody is like getting there too. Like in football too. Like I noticed, like I was my hats off to you, Commissioner. We're going a little bit off topic here, but your fantasy football team, oh man, you did a great job drafting. I was just like, my hats off to you, like.
And to that point, Brian, that 2020 year, I got last place.
I remember.
I lost because I wasn't.
Yeah. And my brother was a champ. My brother was a champ, and he beat me.
Oh yeah, you were in the finals for that, right?
Yes, me and my brother was in a championship game.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. I started watching football. I started watching sports essentially, and before that, I would drive to work, listen to sports radio, watch sport. It was like all sports, and then kind of lost touch with it.
Yes.
But let me ask you this, Brian. We've seen this before with the Dodgers.
Yes.
They play lights out throughout the season.
Correct.
Huge numbers of games. They get to the postseason, and then they just freeze up. They go cold.
Yeah, I mean the bats go cold this year, especially. I mean, if the bats are gonna go cold, you're gonna need some pitching, and they just had like no starting pitching. I mean, their best pitcher was the rookie Bobby Miller, and even he couldn't like bring out a miracle or the improbable or anything like that. I mean. It's a matter of the Diamondbacks came in, they beat the Brewers in the wild card round. They swept them it's a best of 3 series, so they swept them 2 games to none. And then they come in, they're red hot. They know the Dodgers. I mean, they're interdivision rivals. And so the other thing too is, like I said, there was no pitching, there was no hitting, but obviously I think the other thing too. The biggest thing the Diamondbacks did all season, here's the secret. They moved runners along. They stole bases. They played small ball.
Yes.
They were fast. young team, good pitching. They weren't. I mean, in this series against the Dodgers, they knocked it out of the park. I think even Bob Costas talked about it a little bit. How they scored. I mean, they only scored like so many. I don't remember the number off the top of my head. So many home runs during the regular season.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like literally on pace to like match that number in just like this Dodgers series, and it only went 3 games. It's just like, wow. They got hot at the right time. The problem is, Kamish, it's not Dave Roberts. Can we please stop with this whole Dave Roberts scapegoat? No, it's not Dave Roberts.
It's been frustrating for years with Dave Roberts. I mean, I'll agree to your point, but it's probably not him at this point because he's not really calling the shots. He's just following whatever the recipe.
And that's how it's always been with Dave Roberts. I mean, you got guys that are analytical like Andrew Freeman, who's been great at wheeling and dealing, but this year they couldn't wheel and deal. And in the offseason, they save money to maybe possibly bring in Ohtani, but even Ohtani's not the answer. You need pitching. If Kershaw's going to retire or he comes back another year, he's not going to be your ace.
It's tough to watch Kershaw fail.
Yes, it is.
It's so tough because I've gone to Dodger Stadium before to say I went to a Kershaw game just to say I saw Kershaw pitch, and he's a beloved Dodger now, and
he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, like these guys, the last guys they had in, Scott Rowland was one of them, and it's like a lot of people didn't agree with Scott Rowland going to the Hall of Fame, and it's like when Kershaw's number comes up, everybody's gonna be like, bam, first ballot Hall of Famer. Like everybody. Yeah, I'm pretty sure even like somebody who represents the Giants as a voter will be like, yeah, Kershaw's an automatic Hall of Famer. And it's sad because it's like, it goes back to what I was saying about how I don't really count the 2020 championship, but that's Kershaw's only World Series championship. And it's kind of sad because it's like, dude, like I wanted him to get like a full-fledged World Series championship. And you know what? I mean, if that's the only championship he's going to get, it's actually pretty good enough for him. I mean, it's in the books. You can't take it back.
No.
So, I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. He's a great guy, too. He's a man of God. He has charities. He's done so much for the community.
Yeah. He's a great Dodger. Yeah.
Great Dodger. He's a legend. But, I mean, man, it's just for him to go out like that, as you said, Kamish, it's pretty sad. It does break my heart as a Dodger fan. Yeah.
That was particularly tough for the whole cheating scandal.
Yes.
With Houston, where you're like, okay, if they hadn't done that, would he gotten his ring? Would he have gotten that World Series title?
Yes. I remember I was watching I forgot what game it was, but it was the bottom of the 9th, and I remember Puig. They were at Houston. Puig came up, hit a grand slam. I remember I think they tied the game, if I'm not mistaken. I remember it was Puig hit a grand slam. They went to extra innings. They ended up losing extra innings, and I think that turned like the whole series around. And even at Dodger Stadium, when I think the pivotal game where they lost the what was it? I think it was game 6. If I'm not, no, did they go 7 or 6? Man, it's.
I think it was 6. I can't remember. We don't have DJ here.
It's you know what? It's only been a couple of years, but I mean, I got like so much stuff going on. But anyways, I mean, it should have been Kershaw's game. They put in he's with the Padres now. The Japanese pitcher. He's half Japanese. I think he's half Moroccan.
Yeah. What's that guy's name?
Darvish.
Darvish. Yeah.
Darvish. And Darvish was like tipping his pitches. I mean, they were just like teeing off of this guy.
Yeah.
And I was saying to myself, I'm like, dude, you want to give the ball to Kershaw. And I kind of feel like, man, like what if it would have been Kershaw instead of Darvish in that game?
Right.
And it would have been like, oh man, well, hey, Kershaw's not who we thought he was and all this stuff. And everybody's gonna hate. The thing that gets to me the most is the Giants. They won a handful of championships. They had a good run, and they weren't like,
oh yeah,
they weren't world beaters. They just played baseball the right way. I remember one of those seasons. I think they got in as a wild card. It's just like,
yes,
wow, like
that's
what?
right.
Like what is going on? So it's just like heartbreaking with the Dodgers because it's like you got this payroll, you expect great things. I think the biggest thing, like I said, Kamish, like coming from me, it's like, I mean, you invest so much time, effort. I'm a Spectrum customer. I pay for the cable service. I mean, you're practically paying for the Dodger games. Even I mean, I know they merged now with DirecTV. Everybody's got the Dodger games, whatnot, what have you. But this Dodger team, it's not Dave Roberts. Steal bases, play some small ball. It's every year's the same equation. They wanna live by the home run, die by the home run, and that's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen. It's simple, and that's why. Look at the Braves. The Braves were the top team in the National League, and they got beaten by the Phillies, and the Phillies are a really good team too, mind
Yeah.
you. So baseball is really, with the new playoff system, I think you're going to see more smaller cities get their chance. And Philly's not a small city; it's a
Right.
pretty big city. But I mean, Arizona, like that's it. Phoenix is a small city, small market. And then in the American League, I mean, you got Houston and Texas, and it's just like the Battle of Texas. It's not like the whole baseball playoffs is just like you're either a fan in Houston. I mean, you're either a fan in the state of Texas, or you're a fan of Arizona,
Right.
or you're a fan of Philadelphia. And those Philadelphia fans are crazy,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, I mean, they booed Santa Claus.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like you said it about like stealing bases. I remember driving home, listening to the game, and that's exactly what they did. They stole the base on.
Yes.
I can't remember who was pitching, but the announcer said he gave the stat for the pitcher, and he said like this guy could not stop people from stealing bases on him basically all year. So they did their homework and they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, and then, well, the thing is like the bases now that this year specifically, they're like a size of a large pizza box. I mean, you get yourself a large pizza box, and that's.
Oh, they changed the size?
Yes, he did.
Oh wow.
Yes, he did. Starting this year, yeah. One of the players, I think it was Acuna, for the Braves, stole the most bases. I think he broke Ricky Henderson's record, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
And it's just like, dude, no, dude.
Yeah,
like,
I don't like when they, yeah.
It's like you got like the base is like bigger than this screen right here, obviously bigger than this laptop. I mean, it's just like bigger is better, but sometimes it's not.
I don't like that. Yeah, I don't like when they change stuff in baseball because baseball is such a historical sport. Yes. You're not just competing against the people now, but like all the people that came before you. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely,
Ricky Henderson, you're competing against his record. You change stuff, then that's not really fair. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, and so the other thing too, Commissioner, like I'll agree with you on that, but you know, the one thing that did work out was that time clock. I mean, that's
it goes faster.
It goes way faster. Yeah, like you're at a game.
Yeah.
And so now it's like you really got to be at your seat, because if you're like in line for a hot dog and a beer and what have you, you're missing the game. I mean, it goes by in a flash.
Do you know like how much faster a game goes by?
I think they timed it down to like it's like 45 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, 45 minutes less. So it is a big dividend. I mean, it's a huge change, because I mean, these games will go 3-4 hours, 3.5 hours, and people just were like, I mean, especially the kids. I mean, somebody like me with ADD. But you know what though? when somebody like me though, like when I'm really into something, like I'm zoned in. Like I said, like I'm like the Terminator. Like I'm just like I'm zoomed in, dude. Like if you got my attention, you have my attention to the fullest. And if I'm not interested, I'm like all over the place. Like I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I could see that for regular games. But once it's in the playoffs, I feel like those 3 hours, they go quick. But a regular game, that drags on. Because there's nothing, unless you're like gambling and putting something at stake, then you get that tension and it's interesting.
Yes.
But otherwise, I agree. It's hard to sit there for 3 hours and just watch that baseball logo in between the innings.
Yeah, and so it goes to like football now, where it's like we do the game's 3 hours. I mean, literally, you have 8 hours of football on Sunday, which is glorious.
Yeah.
Albeit, dude, I watch the Sunday night game or the Thursday game or the Monday night football game, and I cannot say it enough. Commercials. On Sunday, I watch Red Zone, and that's like, unless I really want to watch the Rams, then like I'll watch my Rams game and I'll go back and forth between Red Zone and Rams, because it's like that's the one game that's like, okay, I'm going to sit down, analyze it, see what's going on. Let me look at Stafford. Let me look at Cobb. Let me look at McVay. I mean, I love watching McVay on the sideline, you know. But it's like the Sunday night game. It's like, oh, dude, like you're killing me with like the broadcast. It's like Tirico and Collins, and not really Tirico. Tirico's okay. He's a fine broadcaster.
Collins, you don't like, right?
It's Collins where it's just like, oh, dude, like you're just like, no, dude. Like, and this last Sunday was actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
And then, dude, like yesterday, I mean, they had the Chiefs and Broncos, and Taylor Swift was at the game. How many times did you show Taylor Swift? I'm like, dude, like seriously, can we just like get by this? Like, let's focus on the game. And Mahomes didn't even have a great game.
No. It was novel at first, and then now it's like, okay, we get it.
Yes. We get it. We get it. It's like she's there. She's pretty. She's rich. She's famous.
I'm actually surprised she's dating Kelsey. I don't understand why she's not dating a bigger star.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't know. She might be like this heiress and whatnot. She puts on this whole facade, but I think deep down that she's a nice girl. She just seems like the girl next door to me. Like, you know, she's very successful. She's obviously very. I mean, she's an artist. I mean, she's what she portrays. But I think once you roll back the curtains, once behind closed doors, I think she's like kind of like the girl next door, where it's just like she wants to hang out and probably like drink some beer and eat pizza, watch football with Travis, and all that good stuff. So I kind of dig that. But it's like the NFL is just kind of pushing it, where it's like, come on, like don't be that thirsty. Like you have your fans, your diehards like me, like you, Kamish.
Yeah,
you have guys that are like, we're invested in this. It's like, we're here to watch football. We're not here to watch. This isn't WWE. I mean, I get it. It's entertainment, but it's like, dude, I'm not here for a storyline. Like, I'm here to watch football. Like, I'm here to see these guys beat the crap out of each other. Like, controlled violence, obviously. And I want to watch my fantasy. My fantasy statistics keep going up and whatnot, and the dramatic stuff that we got going on within ourselves in our own leagues and stuff. Yeah. So that's what I want.
I think they just see an opening. They're like, we can maybe get some female viewers to tune in.
Just like raking it in. It's just like, yeah. I mean, they're selling jerseys.
And I think they probably know it's like short lived. Like, so they're just trying to like maximize it while they can before the thing fizzles out.
Yeah, because it's like they were saying that like she didn't show up to the last game. I think it was when they played Minnesota, and they were like, "Oh, she's already like making the next song about
she's getting material."
But you know what's funny though? She's a Delaware girl, and she's a Delaware. She was born in Delaware.
Oh, Delaware.
And so she's an Eagles fan. Or well, I mean,
I didn't know that.
She grew up as an Eagles fan, and so it's kind of funny because like the Kelsey brother plays for the Eagles. He's a center, Jason Kelsey, and so it's like it's funny because it's like I think they do play each other this year, if I'm not mistaken. But it'll be funny. I mean, well, they obviously played in the Super Bowl, but that's last year.
Oh yeah.
But I think they do play the game this year, and they're saying how like she's not welcome at the link. I love it. I was like, oh man, this is too funny. They were like, yeah, we don't want your distraction here. Like, it's too funny. It's comical in a way.
Yeah.
But like I was gonna say, Kamish, dude, if I had my own football league, like I said, you already know what I want to do with it.
What would you do?
I would give each team 3 timeouts for the whole freaking game. Okay. No, there's three timeouts first half, 3 timeouts. Yeah. No. And then everybody gets one challenge, and that's it. You blew it. You won your challenge. It doesn't matter. You use your challenge, and it's done.
Yeah.
And then like we could do like a double box where it's like you have the commercial, and it's like the game's going on at the same time if you want to. If you want, I mean, you need sponsors. I get it, but I want to watch games. I want to watch the game. It's like, dude, like get back to the game. It's like. It's too much with these commercials sometimes. Like the Sunday Night Football, it's like they stretch it. They stretch it too much, man. The Monday Night Football, they stretch out too much. And it's like, I get it, all these corporate sponsors, that's your money maker. It's the primetime games. But man, it's like for the football diehards like me and you, Kamish, it's just like, dude, like get back to the game. Come on.
Yeah. They should have an option. They should have an option for like watching.
And that's why I love Red Zone. Yeah.
Man. All right. All right, Brian, you want to move on to some memes?
Yes, please.
All right.
I'm ready.
You ready? All right,
yes,
let's try it out. We're trying it out for
Oh man. The Bill Belichick one, so everybody keeps talking about it, how everybody keeps pretty much saying this is gonna be Belichick's last year. I mean,
are people saying that? I haven't heard that.
Yes. See, the thing is, Commissioner, I graduated to XM Sports. Like, dude, I listen to all my sports talk, all my fantasy talk on Sirius XM. Yeah. I'm not saying that I'm too good for local radio. I love Rogan and Rodney. Those are my
Rogan
dogs.
And Rodney. I love Rogan.
And I love Petros and Money, but sometimes it's like they go a little bit off the tangent and they don't talk about sports as much as I like.
Yeah.
And what I appreciate about like Sirius XM, like, do they have people call in and then people give their opinion? And sometimes these people are like, it's great because it's like you get to interact with the sports host, and then you kind of like get for me, like I've already gotten used to like, oh, okay, I like this show. I like
Right.
Christopher Russo. I like Zach Gelb on CBS Radio, which is great. He's funny. He cracks me up.
That makes sense, Brian, because I used to listen exclusively to like local radio, sports radio here in LA, and ESPN I used to like. Now it's just brutal. I can't listen to.
Yeah, I cannot listen to ESPN. It's just too much like
ESPN 710 here.
And it's like I said, once they got rid of like Keyshawn, J-Will, and Max, I was just like, nah, dude, like this is not the same. Like I enjoyed listening to those guys. Like I love.
What was the other guy's name? It was Keyshawn. It was Keyshawn,
Jason Williams,
and Marcellus Wiley, right?
Oh, Marcellus was good too. Good too. Yeah. Very underrated. Very underrated. Yeah. The thing is, it's like they try too much, which is like the contest, and that's like I get it. People do call in, they want to win stuff. Remember like when the Rams were in the Super Bowl, ESPN was giving away the Super Bowl tickets.
Yeah.
And I was calling in just for that. I was like, man, I'll listen to your station, but I'll call in to try to win some Super Bowl tickets, see my Rams. But it didn't happen. But I mean, dude, like, even if you like want to get something like free, go like on podcasts. And yes, I'll go once again to the well. Jeff Mann's One Man's Opinion One Man's Opinion podcast.
Yeah,
fantastic. It has like a whole bunch of cursing in it. It's Pat McAfee on steroids, dude. Like This guy is just brutal, dude. Yeah.
What's this guy's name?
Jeff Mans.
Jeff Mans.
You could just go on your regular.
He's on Sirius, huh?
He's on Sirius, but if you go on podcasts, you have an iPhone, correct?
Yeah.
Or like anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
I think you can find him under Jeff Mans. It's called One Man's Opinion.
Let me look on Spotify. I bet he might be.
Or on Spotify. I think yeah. It's anywhere you find your podcast, and and then that one's free. His other content like the Elite Sports, that's on Sirius XM, that's on the Fantasy channel. But he is fantastic, man. I mean, he just cracks me up. But dude, like I said, I cannot say enough. This man is playing chess while the rest of us are playing checkers. Like he analyzes the games to a different level, and I think he's like connected somehow because this guy he calls his shots, man. Yeah, he's very well known.
Yeah,
in the fantasy sports community because he does everything. He does basketball, he does football, he does hockey, he does a little bit of everything. But I mean, I think football is like his big thing. Yeah. He's fantastic.
So he's on Spotify, so I'll check it out.
Yeah, you mentioned it a couple times. Kamish, just make sure the kids aren't hearing because if it's like the One Man's Opinion, he's cursing, and dude, it's hilarious. It's like,
no, I usually listen to sports talk like on the commute, like driving.
Okay, and stuff. Gotcha. Whenever you get a chance, you gotta listen to this guy. This guy is like he's.
Oh no, you're right. Because sometimes I play sports radio while I'm driving the kid to school or something. So you're right.
Yeah, and he'll tell you too. Like when he opens up, he's like, "Oh, this is like my podcast where I do cursing," and he lays it all out. It's awesome. It's awesome. So I put like my earbud in where I'm at work too because I'm walking around.
Yeah.
I'm constantly interacting with customers, and I don't want people being like, "Oh, what are you listening to?" Or listening. I mean, I'm representing the post office, so I don't want to be like that. Yeah.
Is Fred Rogan? Does he have a podcast, or is it just pure?
No, Rogan and Rodney. They're on AM 570 LA Sports, but I know sometimes he comes out with
That's what I listen to. If
Rob Parker on The Odd Couple. Say again, Commish?
Oh, that's what I listen to. Like when I drive AM 570. The radio station.
I know you're a big Dan Patrick fan. I know you brought him up a couple of times.
Oh yeah, I love Dan Patrick. I hear him in the morning. Yeah, he's on AM 570.
He's on AM 570. Yeah. But these guys are on a different level. And then if you want to listen to another like a good broadcast too, Zach Gelb show. It's on CBS Sports Radio. I think that one's free too. He's really good. He's not really into fantasy, but he talks about college a lot, and he talks about the NFL, and his takes are like really great. I was listening to him today, actually. I'm kind of like, man, like I want to listen to Christopher Russo, but I'm just like, man, I know he likes to talk about baseball, and I just don't want to hear anything about baseball. I'm heartbroken. I'm that heartbroken girlfriend. I'm just like, dude, like you do this to me every year. So Kamish, I'm like, I'm done. Like next year, I think I'm just gonna be like, you know what? Like I'll meet you in the playoffs. Like let's see what you do in the playoffs, because I'm just like I'm not into it. Like like the small victories, and then you buy the gear, And it's just like, I used to do that. I used to buy the gear with the little patch on the side and postseason or World Series, what have you. And it's just like, that stuff's expensive.
Yeah.
I don't do that stuff anymore. I'm like, nah, dude, like win me a championship.
They got you. Yeah.
I mean, I'm the consumer. Like, like Mike Tomlin said it best, that keeping the fans fat, sassy, and spoiled. And a great quote. I mean, he's right. It's like, without the fans, the NFL wouldn't be the king of sports or even Major League Baseball. Look at the XFL. Look at the USFL. Are you going to go? Alliance of American Football. Where are they now?
Are you going to go to a Rams game this season?
You know what, Commissioner? I want to. It's just like I said, it's on the budget.
Yeah. Is that like Dodger Stadium where it's kind of crazy expensive too?
Yes, because it's like if you go, I know I went with Hyman the last time I went. We parked away from the stadium. We walked we trekked to the stadium, and I don't mind. I mean, like I said, I walk 15 miles a day, 6 days a week. So to me, it's nothing. It's just like a walk in the park.
I've done that at Dodger Stadium before. You park on the street, and then but you got to hike it. You got to hike it into the stadium.
But over there, I mean, it's Inglewood, so it's different. It's like, like I remember we went last year, and we were walking, and then a guy pulled up. He's like, do you guys want to ride to the stadium? And we're like, no, we're okay. He's like, no, I'll be guys a ride to the stadium, like some random guy. And we're like, all right, whatever. Like, it's two of us. We could take him down.
He wanted to bang you. He wanted to bang both of you.
Something, yeah. I mean,
he's trying to pick you up.
He's how Hyman. I was just like, here you go, Hyman. Like, here's your opportunity.
You got the vibe from Hyman.
But no, the guy was super cool, and he like filled us in. He's like, no, they started giving out permits to the residents. So like people who were going to the Rams games, like they couldn't park on the street. You had to have a permit to like park on the street on Sundays. So it's crazy. It's just like, no. And then like, dude, like the closer you get to the stadium, it's like $100 to park. Yeah. It's not even Dodgers. Like I'll pay $30, no problem. But 100 is like, nah, dude.
You ever been to the Rose Bowl?
I've never been to the Rose Bowl. No,
people do that too. Like if you live in the Rose Bowl, they'll like sell their lawn.
Yeah,
people park on the lawn.
People did that at the Coliseum. Yeah, we went to the Coliseum. We went to Thursday Night Football when they played the Vikings when there was a shootout. Back when Goff was a Ram.
Wow.
And great game. But I mean, the stadium was packed. There's people, like you said, like son. I mean, it's in a residential neighborhood, so
yeah.
I mean, it was the same thing. But we took Uber, and then we took the public transportation back home, and then we took another Uber. So
wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because it's cheaper if you get the like far away from the stadium, right? When like a stadium ends or a big event ends.
Yes,
I forgot what it's called, but there's like a special pricing in it. It's a lot more expensive.
Yeah, correct. So that's what we did. We kind of like just started walking towards downtown, and even in downtown, it was just like too expensive. So we ended up just taking the public transportation. Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier we went to the Coors Field, and that was really fun, and that was easy to get to. Beautiful city, beautiful downtown,
beautiful people.
I mean, it was an amazing experience there.
If you're from Denver and you're watching this, beautiful people. Like it was great.
Yeah, Denver was awesome, and they got the best. They probably have the best deal of any stadium I've heard. Where you get was it $3 beers up until like 6 p.m. or something.
Yes, right before first pitch.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, so we had quite a bit of Coors Light that day.
Ooh, yeah, we did.
Oh, yeah. So Belichick without Brady, Mike Tomlin without Roethlisberger, Sean Payton without Breeze.
The common denominator is they don't have quarterbacks.
That's the key position. Yeah.
That's the key position. Yeah.
Do you feel like any one of these fell hard? Probably Belichick, right? Was like the biggest fall?
Yeah, it's the biggest fall from grace. Absolutely. Because, I mean, you win all these Super Bowls, you're a dynasty. I mean, granted, Belichick is a defensive-minded coach. And like I said in the last podcast, those defenses were brutal. I mean, those defenses played. They were tough. I mean, Teddy Bruschi. I mean, they had some great defenses, and just his whole schemes. I mean, how he went. Like I said, when they played my Rams in the Super Bowl, and that was just a low scoring game because it's all defense. If Todd Gurley would have been healthy, oh man, the Rams would have different level. The Rams would have had two titles here in LA, but it just didn't happen, and I'm glad it did eventually happen.
Right.
And I'm hoping it happens again, because that's the thing, Kamish. I think the whole thing with the Steelers, it's like a mom and pop. Same thing with Robert Kraft with the Patriots. I think
Yeah.
the thing with Broncos, I mean, the Waltons, the Walmart owners, they're
Right.
gonna spend money, and so right now it's just like the word is from what Zach Gelb from CBS Radio was saying is that they might just be like, hey, you know what? Let's tank and pay off Russell Wilson or work around his contract
Yeah.
and go for the first pick, and it's gonna be interesting because like
Yeah. That's the tough part, right? For a fan base when your team is
yes,
just gonna tank to get the best pick.
and you know what it is if you're like a smart fan like myself, I consider myself to be a pretty smart fan because it's like you got to look at this as a business, and granted, it's like these guys the way the business is working right now is that the worst team gets the first pick, and then you could always do the whole trades.
Right.
I mean, look at Chicago last year; they traded with Carolina, and then words coming out how the Raiders wanted to trade up with Chicago to trade up with Chicago to go for the first pick, and they wanted to get C.J. Stroud. Imagine C.J. Stroud in a Raiders outfit. The Raiders would have been a different story.
Yeah.
I mean, Devontae Adams, you got the Jacoby Myers is really good. Revelation.
Right.
I mean, like just he's been good. He's been solid. You got Josh Jacobs who's in the slouch. And then you got Max Crosby on defense, and Max Crosby, like he showed his teeth against Green Bay. Like that's why I put money down
Yeah.
against the Packers. I was just like, no matter how bad this Raiders team is, the Raiders will win sometimes. It's not gonna be pretty, but they're gonna win certain
Yeah.
ball games. And so, like going back to the original topic, it's quarterback commish. I mean, like Mike Tomlin without Big Ben.
Right.
I mean, even like I think it's part Kenny Pickett and I think it's part offensive line because even the run game can't get the run game going. I mean, they got Najee, and Najee is like not been able to be himself, and he's a pretty fine running
Right.
back. I mean, I remember his rookie season, he was like off the charts. He was great.
Let me ask you this question, Brian. Who's the worst coach you can think of currently right now?
Currently, right now, worst coach. Let me see. Because you know what's funny, like we talked about this last podcast. I mean, Frank Reich is Owen, but I don't think it's a Frank Reich problem
Yeah.
because. So the thing is that Frank Reich wanted to go out and get CJ Stroud. Like I told you, this guy he's a quarter. Right. He was a former quarterback. He knows quarterback.
Right.
So the owner was like, no. Like we're gonna go after. I mean, Bryce Young. So I mean, they got Bryce Young. He's a fine young man. He's gonna be something in the league. He's not a bust.
Right.
Let's not write him off yet. But I mean, it's been a tough first year. But worst coach right now. Man, I mean, it's like it's a tricky question because, like I said, I mean, Frank Reich is the only Owen. Carolina's the only Owen team in the league at the moment.
Let's take him then. If he had Breeze or Roethlisberger or Brady, what would his record be?
I think with those weapons, and I think their defense at the beginning of the year was pretty solid. Carolina's been pretty solid. I think they'd be at least a game over 500. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot. I mean, let's give. I mean, it's two things, right? The coach, these are leaders, so like even though they don't have these weapons, they can still be a good coach, and then they might not be revealed by like you're saying, the record might not say it, but they might still be good coaches. Like Mike Tomlin's a good coach.
Yeah. So like, I mean, let's go back to that. Frank Reich, he made Carson Wentz relevant again.
Yeah.
Last year, I mean, Carson Wentz was like he was a basket case. Like, I mean, the guy lost his mojo.
Right.
And so
yeah, that's tough.
He came in. I know they had that ugly game against the Niners, and they took out the Niners. I mean, it's like and then Carson Wentz played a hell of a game against the Niners last year in that ugly game, but he played well, really well for Carson Wentz. So it's tough because it's like I'm really thinking like I don't want to say Arizona because I don't know the gentleman's person, the coach. I know his last name is Gannon. I think it's I forget his first name, but I mean that Arizona team is playing their hearts out,
right?
And I like what the coach for the Colts is doing right now. I mean they're relevant. They're relevant. They're going to Jacksonville this week. It's going to be a buzzsaw. No Anthony Richardson. I mean, you got the stash. You got Gardner Minshew going in there. It's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
good game, but it's so difficult because I think if you were to ask maybe like an expert, I think they would say, "Mom, what's his name? The Raiders coach, McDaniels. I mean, Josh McDaniels."
Yeah.
I think everybody would say Josh McDaniels because it's like he's a really good offensive coordinator, but he's not really a head coach.
Right.
So, and then like I said, like I understand the whole thing with Belichick. It's like a running joke now, especially this year. But
yeah,
I just don't think that it's like completely his fault. I just think that he lost his premier corner, Christian Gonzalez.
Right.
I mean, the kid was playing solid.
Yeah, I think he's it's easy to hate on Bill Belichick because of the Patriots had so much success.
Absolutely.
And so it's just you just kind of like revel in the Patriots
sucking
and Bill Belichick not doing it.
Yes, because we all
the team just suffered at the hands of them for so long. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, like I mean, it's the biggest thing. The cherry on top of that is because Brady went to Tampa Bay and he won the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay. If Brady would not won a Super Bowl that first year in Tampa Bay,
that's right.
We wouldn't even be having this discussion.
That's right. I forgot about that. That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a very good point because he proved he could win without Belichick. Belichick has not proved he could win without Brady.
Yes, but granted, he went down to Tampa Bay and the team was already set. It was like insert Brady here, and dude, like it's just like I mean, it was like a microwave burrito. You put the microwave burrito in there, and you heat it up, and it's ready to go. It's good to go. It was an instant offense, and then
he had a great coach there too. Forgot his name.
It was Arians, Bruce Arians.
Yeah,
Bruce Arians, quarterback guru, quarterback guru himself. I believe that like he should come back and command a sideline like that guy.
Yeah,
that guy was great. I mean, he coached Kurt Warner in Arizona too.
They should throw some money at him, bring him back.
They should. I think he's still in the like front office position with the Bucs, and that's because of Brady. So that's why they brought back Todd Bowles. It's like, okay, well, Todd Bowles, he's a defensive coach. He's going to handle the defense. And then Brady and Leftwich were in charge of the offense, so they took care of the offense.
Right.
And it worked. It worked. But then eventually, I mean, obviously, other time caught up to him. And he didn't have that same offensive line the second year. And I honestly didn't believe they're going to repeat as champions. That was kind of like a fluke, too. It was kind of like my Rams championship. It's kind of like a fluke. I hate to admit it.
I think a lot of Belichick's leadership came from Brady. I think Brady was actually the real leader in that place. And so he was kind of the guy who would get the guys to rise to the occasion. Yes. And then when he left, I don't think Belichick had the personality to keep that up. You know what I mean?
Yes. It's because the other thing too, Commissioner, it's like we keep saying, it's just like Belichick is his main thing is the defense. He has Bill O'Brien there as the offensive coordinator, and the offensive coordinator is like they brought in Bill O'Brien because they lost Josh McDaniels to the Raiders. So they brought in Bill O'Brien. He's commanded a sideline as the Texans head coach. He's coached Deshaun Watson. He was a pretty decent coach with the Texans. I mean, he took them to the playoffs, I think 2 years in a row, if I'm not mistaken. I know they were like really relevant in the South. But I mean,
and also Brian, all the other like the coordinators that went on to become head coaches from the Pats,
yes,
they could not replicate that success either.
They could not. No. Patricia with the Lions couldn't. Yeah. I mean, Josh McDaniels is having his troubles now with the Raiders. I mean, if anybody, I feel like if Belichick does retire, I think it's Bill O'Brien. Like he's been in an organization. He knows what he's doing. He's been in the higher position because he went up. I think to be the president of the Texans before he went back to New England, something like that, something in a front office position. But he knows his quarterbacks too, and so they brought in Bill O'Brien to work with Mac Jones, but Mac Jones just isn't. It's not clicking. I think too, it's just like I think it's just partially they can't get the run game going either. Like Ramondre Stevenson hasn't been good at all. Just, like the whole offense is just like not clicking on all cylinders. Like it's not the Patriots offense, and it's a division where, like I said it all along. I mean, Miami is going to take the division. You look at the Bills. The Bills fell to the Jaguars, and everybody was calling it the Jaguars going to take out the Bills. Jaguars, And I was just like, I was a little skeptical, but man, the Bills look a little flat-footed, and then Josh Allen, he's still an elite quarterback.
Yeah.
But he's losing his mojo too. It's just like you can't scramble that much and take that many hits anymore, because it's like they need you fresh throughout the season. Once you go down, if he ever were to go down, it's just like
done.
What are you gonna do? You're done, and your defense is banged up too. And so they got a meatball. They get a tomato can this week against the Giants. Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor, Eli Manning's out. Saquon Barkley's out. It's a tomato can. It's
that's
like,
brutal.
Oh, it's gonna be brutal. So I think that's gonna get them back on track. But Miami is still just like clicking. Oh yeah, just like, dude. And then Miami's got a tomato can too. I mean, they got Carolina this week. It's like, man, these guys have it easy.
That's a good schedule. Yeah,
it's a good schedule. Yeah.
You ready for the next one, Brian?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So we hit on this a little bit before.
Oh God,
we touched on this earlier.
Yeah, that's a good one.
ESPN when Patrick Mahomes throws a touchdown to Travis Kelce, and then they cut to Taylor Swift.
Yes,
and it's the dad from South Park just came all over.
Oh, dude, like all the way. Yeah.
All sports culture. Shout out to them.
Yeah, shout out. That's great.
That's hilarious.
Fantastic.
I guess there's not much. Yeah, I guess we already covered this, didn't we? Let's get the. Ready for the next one?
Yes, sir. Let's go. Oh yeah.
Oh yes, it's Tom Pelissero. You heard of him?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I follow him on Instagram. Does he have a radio show?
Say again.
Does he have a radio show or something?
He might have a podcast actually, but I'm not sure. I'm not 100%, but he might have a podcast. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these insiders have podcasts now.
I love his IG account. He does a great job. So
yeah, he's great.
Dolphin star wide receiver Tyreek Hill, who tweeted Tuesday that the NFL fined him more than $100K, has been fined repeatedly this season for uniform policy violations.
Oh, he's not wearing socks.
He's not wearing socks. No,
he's not wearing socks.
He refuses to wear socks.
Yes.
Why not just wear the socks, Brian?
I guess it's like maybe superstition, or maybe he just doesn't like wearing socks. I mean,
why fine him then? Why are they so uptight about all this stuff?
I think they try to run it like a military. I mean, it's just like, if we're gonna get into something like this, we gotta talk about Kittle.
What happened with Kittle?
With the T-shirt. So on Sunday Night Football, they were playing the Cowboys, and then
that one's coming up.
Okay. So it's like I was saying, I think they want to run it like a military. It's just like, and then supposedly like all this money goes to charity. I doubt it. It goes straight to the commissioner's pocket. Let's give me a break.
I don't get why. All right. So they make the rules. I'm Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna give $100K. I'm just gonna put on the socks. I don't really care.
I think to him it's just like it's chump change. Yeah, it has to be, because it's like he's definitely one of the highest paid receivers. Yeah. That's why he didn't re-sign him with KC. KC didn't want to pay him, so he's like, well, I'm gonna go somewhere that's gonna pay me.
Maybe it's like you said, he just feels he can't be as successful if he puts the socks on. You know what I mean?
And it's funny. I'm glad you brought it up, because I thought about that today too. I was thinking about helmets. So the whole Antonio Brown thing with the helmet, like he wanted to wear his specific helmet and whatever, and
right. That makes sense. Yeah.
Commissioner, like I said, if the guy wants to go out there and wear an old school leather helmet, and he's going to go out there and be successful and play football and not cry about it, let him play. But we live in such a righteous society where it's like, oh, well, player safety this and player safety that, and we got to look out for the players, and all the NFL draft is a slave auction. It's just like, no, dude, like most of these guys like want to do what they want to do. Like, let them be them. It's like,
right.
If they want to gripe about it at the end of their careers, that's on them. It's like, hey, dude, well, you didn't wear socks. Oh, you didn't wear the proper helmet. We told you to wear. It comes down to like, if there's a sign that says "Do not push the button," you don't push the button. Don't feed the bears.
Didn't Antonio Brown wear it anyways?
I think he did. I think they like overruled it. I think Rodgers too. Rodgers wears like the same helmet, so it's kind of like a dilemma. It's like they picked and choose who they wanted to go after.
I can't remember right, but I feel like Antonio Brown was just like agreeing to wear the right one and then just switching it out without them really realizing. I can't remember.
Something like that. Something where it had to do like the shell, I guess. Like the shell.
Apparently, like that one got like removed because it didn't protect you as well as the other helmets that they have now. But I guess it wasn't as comfortable or something, or he didn't like it how it looked.
Yeah.
And then or how it felt. I don't know. It didn't look any different. It wasn't like you said, like a leather helmet going out there.
Yeah, and exactly. So it's like, okay, like we have a similar rule in the post office where it's like you have to wear postal approved footwear, and it has like a little green tag that says USA or whatever. And so like that's certified like postal approved footwear.
Every workplace has this. Every workplace.
I have plantar fasciitis. I have bone spurs on my feet. My feet are all jacked up. I wear some Adidas Ultra Boost, and that's what works for me. So like I literally have to get a note from my physician saying like, oh, please allow Mr. Big Boss Mailman. Yeah. So they make it like a big deal, but I feel in a way too, like I don't like being a conspiracy theorist. Yeah. But it's like, why are you monopolizing certain brands of shoes? Like it's all union made.
Oh.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
I get a uniform allowance, but I don't get a lot. So granted, it's like I buy myself a pair of postal approved shoes. That's like 75% of my allowance.
Okay. So they probably have some sort of deal, maybe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It has to be.
Yeah. Or do you think they could get sued? Maybe if they didn't have this policy, like someone just like me would be dumb enough to wear Crocs all day, delivery mail, they'd be like,
yeah. If you were to come with Crocs, they pretty much like send you home. Yeah,
and then my feet would be all jacked
up.
Yeah, that's why they do.
Yeah, they're pretty strict. Like I mean, they're like really strict. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on here.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know in order to play Wednesday, somber, bitter, with no hope or feelings dead inside, Jenna Ortega became a Raiders fan for a year?
There you go. It's beautiful. I love it. That's a good one.
I feel like it's a good time to be a Raiders fan, actually. Well, maybe not.
Maybe back in
I take that back.
Back in the 80s and early 90s, back when they're winning Super Bowls. I mean, now it's like they're kind of like the Steelers fans now when you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I see a lot of Steelers fans. I see a lot of Steelers fans, and man, they are like not happy.
Oh, okay.
At work, like a lot of my customers are Steelers fans, and I see them, and you can tell they're just like not happy. Yeah. Like they're like Steelers all the way.
Yeah.
But man, they're just like you can tell, like they're not boasting about it. When your team is winning, like the flag's out. Your dog's wearing the team logo. I mean, it's everywhere. Yeah. But dude, like I feel for these fans. It's just like they're like both like in the same pod right now because it's like
Green Bay too, Brian.
Green Bay too, yeah. Granted, I mean Green Bay. You know what?
We're not used to being bad.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's like you guys are like going into this group, to this pod. It's like. Yeah,
for 23 years, you just had an awesome team, and then all of a sudden, you're the Browns.
Yeah.
No offense to Browns fans, but you're the Browns.
Dude, you literally just took the words right out of my mouth. I was gonna say that. Yeah, I mean the Browns have never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and so I wanted to get into that real quick. The Browns were my pick to win the North, but man, this whole thing with Deshaun Watson, is he gonna play?
Wait, the Browns have never won a Super Bowl?
They've never won a Super Bowl.
Oh, okay. So they won most of their titles like before the Super Bowl era. Then
they've never won a Super Bowl.
Okay.
So the Cleveland Browns. Okay, so check it out. A little quick history lesson.
Right.
So the original team in Cleveland is who?
I don't remember, but I remember that they renamed the team after the coach, right?
Before that.
Before the coach.
Before all that, 1937. I'm gonna give you a hint. 1937.
The Colts.
No, sir.
That was the Baltimore Colts, was it?
No, sir. No. It was your what you know now as your Los Angeles Rams.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Born in Cleveland, established in 1937, and so they moved over here. I'm not specific on the date at the moment. I think it was late 50s. I'm about to look this up. I know I'm being a terrible Rams fan, but yeah, they moved the team over here. Right. Their head PR person was Peter Rozelle, who eventually became the commissioner of football, and then so they came over here. They became they became the Los Angeles Rams, and then the Browns were born, and then the Browns moved to Baltimore, and we know them now as the Baltimore Ravens.
Right.
And then the current Browns now are technically an expansion team.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
They've been around a long time. They feel like.
I mean, they're like they're one of the original organizations. Just the thing is like they became the Baltimore Ravens, and then they came back as an expansion team, and they became the Browns again. But yeah, they've never won a Super Bowl. Not even under Bernie Kosar. And Bernie Kosar was like the last great Browns quarterback, and everybody felt like Deshaun Watson or Baker Mayfield or Johnny Manziel or Tim Couch, what have you.
Yeah,
they were the next guy, or even the Notre Dame quarterback. He's on a show too. Brady Quinn.
Oh,
he was a Brown. So this team is just like, commish. They're so good. They have a really solid defense. If Deshaun Watson would have played this Sunday, I think they would have had a legitimate, a more than 50% chance of beating the 49ers. And that's me like putting my money where my mouth is, because I put money on it. Like I put money on the Browns to win the North. And I just like this whole thing with Deshaun Watson. Is he going to play again? What's going on? What's really going on? He has a bruise on his rotator cuff. It's just bad. Like they're just better off like going for the first pick all over again. But the sad thing about it is if they do go for the first pick, I don't think Caleb Williams will want to go to Cleveland.
Oh man.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next one.
Oh yeah.
Let me go back real quick. That was Raider Rich 87. Shout out to Raider Rich 87.
Yeah.
This is by the actual Raiders account.
Beautiful.
They put the Packers through the cheese grater.
There you go. Yeah, that's gotta be well, I just called his name out earlier too. The defensive end.
I guess this is why I said it's a good time to be a Raider fan, because they beat the Packers.
Yeah.
And I remember reading something that they hadn't beat the Packers. I forgot what the stat was, but it was like something since like 1987 was.
Oh goodness, and that was my birth year. Yeah. That makes sense. I remember when they played. Oh man, this is a while back. I remember when Brett Favre was still a Packer. I'll never forget. I think it was Monday Night Football, and I think it was his mother.
Oh, was that when his dad died?
Was his mom or his dad? His dad. Okay,
his dad. Right? His dad died. Yeah, his dad passed away.
He went out there and had like the game of his life.
Yeah, that was against the Raiders, right? Yeah.
Yes, at Oakland. Oakland, yeah. That was brutal. Yeah.
But this is a good win for the.
Good win for them, yeah,
Raiders,
especially for Jimmy G and for the fans. I mean, like I said, Commissioner, they're the black hole in Las Vegas does not exist, at least not for the moment.
Right. I always liked Jimmy G. He was I don't know.
Totally. Yeah.
He seems likable, but why is he struggling? Why did he struggle?
Too many injuries.
Okay.
Just the guy is just banged up. I mean, once you I've been injured a couple times myself, and it's like once you get injured and you get back to it, you're never 100%. That's just what anybody. I mean, you could be a professional athlete like these guys, and I just feel like look at Deshaun Watson. Going back to Deshaun Watson, it's like I just feel like they gave this guy so much money to be their future, and like the team is ready to win. That's the sad thing about it, Commissioner.
To Deshaun or to Jimmy G?
To Deshaun. Okay, I went back to Deshaun because I'm talking about injuries.
Yeah.
And it's just like they give this guy so much money. The team's ready to win, and it's just not going to happen. And it's just like Bengals back to the Bengals. I mean, Joe Burrow says he's feeling better. I told you, Commissioner, he's coming back with a vengeance. Yeah.
I started him last.
Dude, that Jamar Chase game. Oh, it was like, oh man. Oh, baby, pass the gravy. Let's eat. Oh man.
Oh. I would have been pretty good either way because I had golf.
Yes.
For the other one, which I think he
was in the dome. Yeah, and he had a good game.
He had a good game. Yeah. Which I wasn't expecting. That's why I swapped him out back for Burrow. But
hey, that's why you're the champ, good sir. That's why you're the champ.
You gotta take some risk.
Oh, you have to. Yeah,
no risk, no reward.
I'm taking some big risks this weekend. Yeah. Oh, big time. Yeah.
All right, let's move on here.
Yes.
Oh, so this is we mentioned it a little earlier.
Yes.
Laugh now, cry later. We got something for that. If we see them again, just trust. And that's
I love it.
That's Micah Parsons talking about.
I love it.
Kittle.
Yeah. And Kittle got fined for it, but he doesn't care. He's chump change, like I said.
Yeah, I lifted up the jersey and had a shirt underneath. It said what? It just said F Dallas.
Yeah, I said FUCK with the star.
The star. Okay, so I'm good. Can't find him for that. I had a star.
Oh, dude. Yeah, it's like they were having this conversation about how like kids nowadays they know all the curse words in the vocabulary. I mean, and all the urban dictionary if you have what have you. I mean, it's like I get it.
Crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a family show, but we live in a society now where it's just like everything's so accessible. We're not in the 1950s anymore.
You know, Brian,
vocabulary.
It seemed really funny until you said that. Now it kind of makes sense to me, especially as a parent. Like, oh, you don't really want your kid seeing this. You don't want your kid seeing people they look up to behaving this way.
Yes.
So I didn't get the fine. I was like, oh, that's just the no fun league, the NFL, the no fun league, not letting people.
And that too, yeah. But I love that because it's like, dude, like that's good. I like this. I like this. Laugh now, cry later. Like I love this quote. But you know what, Commissioner? The Chargers are gonna take them down this Sunday.
The Niners.
The Chargers are gonna take it down Cowboys.
Oh, the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Man.
It's gonna be a close game, but
what makes you pick the Chargers?
I just feel like remember I've talked about how like the offensive coordinator for the Chargers, I always forget his name. I could picture his face.
Oh yeah,
he's such a go-lucky young man, a former Boise State quarterback.
Let me look it up real quick. Offensive coordinator.
Yes.
Joe Lombardi.
No, that's last year.
Oh. Is it bringing up Google? Update your. Oh, Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore, thank you, sir. Kellen Moore. I don't know why his name is like not common, I guess.
No, that sounds kind of weird.
Kellen Moore, yeah. But I mean, this guy, he would. So the whole thing between him and McCarthy, like that's why like McCarthy is like took command of the offense this year because he felt like McCarthy wanted to run the ball. Granted, yes, they had Zeke, they had Pollard, and now this year they have Pollard, they have Rico Dotto, and they have Deuce Vaughn. Deuce Vaughn is if they give him his chance, I mean, he's had a couple touches when it's garbage time. Besides that, Moore likes to run up. He likes to throw the ball, and that's his whole Chargers offense. It's perfect that he's in the perfect position, Commissioner, where he can usurp the head coach. I think so because what this offense has is the offense. I mean, yes, like they have like no defense. The defense is terrible, and that's with.
Wait, you said what this offense has is the offense?
Yeah, I mean they have the Chargers have an offense because of Herbert. I mean, even though they lost Mike Williams, they still have Keenan Allen, who's like spectacular. They have Josh Palmer. They have Quentin Johnson, who they just drafted out of TCU. They're getting Eckler back this week. Eckler's a pass catching back. So the offense, I mean, dude,
they're ready. They're just primed.
Herbert, he's got a cannon, man. Like, I mean, what Moore wants to do is show McCarthy this week. It's like, hey, like I'm gonna light up the scoreboard by passing the ball. So it's gonna be a high scoring game, that's for sure. I'm just like, I mean, the Cowboys are going to try to go in there, use up the D. I mean, I'm hoping Pollard has a nice game because I do have him in a couple of other leagues. But besides that, it's like the only bad thing is that, yes, Herbert has a fractured finger on his non-throwing hand, but he's going to have to avoid contact because it's like you don't want that injury getting any worse. I mean, eventually you're going to play in the rain. You're going to have to like handle the football with two hands, what have you. So luckily they're playing in SoFi. It's not going to be a home field advantage for the Chargers, obviously, because the Cowboys is like, dude, there's Cowboy fans here in LA. There's tons of them all over the world, all over the country, all over LA. So
currently, Brian, the money line is the Chargers are the underdog plus 112.
Right.
So that's a good bet, huh?
That's a good bet. That's a good bet. Yeah. Yeah. And me and Zach Gelb were like the only ones that took the Chargers. I think everybody else was taking the Cowboys. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Bolting up right there. Okay.
Should be a good game, though. Should be a good game. Yeah.
All right. So
looking forward to that one.
Here. I thought this was cool.
Yes.
Randy Johnson's photography logo is awesome.
The spring training game, yeah.
Yeah.
When he took out a pigeon.
Baseball and picks.
Or a dove or what have you, yeah.
Yeah, pigeon. I think it was a pigeon or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Randy Johnson, the big unit, was pitching. Was it a preseason game?
Spring training, yes.
Oh, yes. Okay. And then the bird just flies. Game. It wasn't at Dodger Stadium?
No.
Okay.
Spring training. Yeah, spring training game. Yeah.
Yeah, the bird just flies in front of the ball and just gets
exploded. And it's like Randy Johnson's like
explode. If there's one ball you don't want to get hit by, it's Randy Johnson.
Yeah.
This poor bird just got exploded by it.
Oh, dude, it just pink mist. It just all you see is his feathers. I mean, the body's just like nowhere to be found. Yeah.
Of all the pitchers to fly in front of it.
Yeah.
I remember I used to work at Dodger Stadium, and then
did you really?
Yeah, and then I remember seeing Randy Johnson there.
Yeah,
because I used to do work like outside with the security guards. This was a long time ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know those guys who stand there with the lights and they wave you.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so I was like one of those guys, and then one time they had me in the pavilion, and that's where the pitchers bullpen.
Yes, the bullpens, yes.
Yeah, that's where they were, and then one time they posted me there when Randy Johnson was there, and he came out and I just saw this guy, and he's physically so huge. He's just
he's just so all tall. Arms and legs. Yeah, he's tall.
Yeah, he looks kind of like a bird himself, too. Actually,
right?
But
especially with that mullet.
Yeah, but you could tell like you don't want to mess with this dude. Like this. Dude.
Oh no, yeah.
We'll throw a ball that'll explode.
Yeah, he just disintegrates you just by throwing a baseball. Yeah.
It was hard not to be a Randy Johnson fan. I mean, of course, he was never a Dodger or anything, but
no, he was a Yankee, a Mariner, and a Diamondback. Yeah, but he was great to watch. Man, every time they play the Dodgers, it's like the Dodgers could not hit him.
Yeah, I think that was when I saw him when he was with the Diamondbacks, and that's why he would play the Dodgers fairly often, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he brought them their first World Series. Him and Curt Schilling. Yeah. It's sad that they're not letting Curt Schilling into the Hall of Fame because he's a conservative. I mean, I guess he's a little bit too extreme with the conservative stuff. I mean, especially because of the whole January 6th thing, like his comments.
Oh,
yeah.
What did he say?
He pretty much called the writers patriots,
okay.
and people kind of like, you know how it is. People got offended because he's like made like the distinction between the writers on January 6th to people looting the streets and taking merchandise.
Oh.
And it's like these are patriots and all these other people are just like criminals, and people just they took it too much. Like, I mean, they needed a whole roll of Charmin to
look what happened is the past week where like the what's it called, the Hamas attacks Israel.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, they're the resistance. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But the January 6th people, they're not the resistance. They're like overthrowing the country. So it's like whatever you believe in, that's what you're gonna side in, no matter what.
Absolutely.
What happens.
Yeah, like I said, last podcast commission is just like we're like so divided. Even like this, I feel like we're more divided than ever because of education. Sadly, like yes, we have like all this education, like everything's at our fingertips, but there's a lot of misinformation everywhere, even at schools, even at universities. It's like there's certain universities where they're like pushing like a certain agenda, and it's just like
it's a team sport.
Young, fragile minds. Yeah.
It's a team sport. Also, if you're like it's like being a Raiders fan or you know what I mean. You're a Democrat. Like that's your team, no matter what. Like if you're a sports fan,
absolutely,
and your player murders somebody, you're gonna make excuses like, oh, the guy was trying to do this or that. You know what I mean? Right. You always make excuses for your team, and you always vilify the other team player. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And that's what politics has become. It's pretty sad.
It's become in a way entertainment now. It's just like must-see TV. And so like going into politics a little bit, like, can I give a shout out to Nikki Haley?
What'd she do?
Oh man, she's on it. I think out of all the people who are like going for the presidency, besides obviously Trump, she just like has a good head on her shoulders. She knows like foreign policy. She's very bright. Like I've seen both of the debates, and every time she just blows me away. I'm like, man, if she doesn't like make it as female president and whatnot, she'd be a heck of a vice president and eventually president, obviously, hopefully. But you just never know. I mean, she's great. She's, for a female politician, I take her any day over Kamala. I mean, I take anybody over Kamala at this point.
Right. Yeah. It's brutal.
She's MIA right now. It's like, whoa, come on, like there's all this stuff going on. Yeah, I don't want to dampen the mood.
We welcome everybody.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm reasonable. I'm open. I mean, I could be bipartisan. I'll listen to both sides. Like I said, I got family who are left wing. It's all good. It's all gravy. We all agree to disagree.
I think that's the right thing, as long as you're reasonable.
Oh, of course.
Some sort of fanatic.
Of course. I mean, either side. For me, when it comes down to like the veteran community, because I myself am a veteran, combat veteran, to top that off, I think it just hits more to home because it's like I know guys that gave up the ultimate sacrifice to make this country great. I mean, we're never going to be a perfect society. We're not going to live in a perfect world. We're not going to live in a perfect country ever. Never. But man, I've been to the other side of the world, Commissioner, and it's just like, wow, God bless America. Like I thank God every day when I'm at work. I'm like,
it's important to be grateful. Yeah.
Oh yes. Like I'm happy. Like every day I come home and sleep in a bed and take a shower. I mean, it's brutal, Commish. Like people need to go out there and experience the other side of the world. Like if you hate this country so much, it's like like people say, get out of here, leave. Then leave.
Yeah.
Because once you go to the other side of the world and you see all these other people live, it's just like, man, like you're gonna come running right back. It's like, oh man,
Right.
You can't say something until you experience it.
Yeah.
And I've experienced it. Trust me, Commish. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Switching gears a little bit. Are you not? So you're not gonna watch any more baseball?
It's hard because it's like.
You're not gonna watch the postseason, the rest of the postseason.
I have a feeling it's gonna be the Texas Rangers versus the Phillies, and that's just going to be a hard World Series. It's going to be a dogfight. Like they're both equally really good, very well managed teams, and great offenses, great pitching. So it should be interesting. I think I'll tune in for the World Series.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
At the moment, I can't watch the ALCS and LDS. I just can't. I don't want to watch the Diamondbacks. Just it makes me sick.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I think I'm just going to tune in for the World Series. That's always fun to watch. No matter who's playing.
Absolutely. As long as it's not the Astros, and especially if the Astros were in it. I'm definitely tuning in to
those were brutal World Series to watch.
For the National League team, which will be the Phillies. Yeah.
Especially after they got caught cheating and then they still made it to the World Series.
They still made it to the World Series and they still won another one. It's like how are these guys so good? And then they're back in the postseason again. It's just like unbelievable.
Growing up, the Astros were not good. All of a sudden,
they were not good. No, I mean, I remember back when they were in National League. I mean, they had the killer bees.
Ryan in the Astros?
Bagwell, Biggio, and Berkman. Yeah, the killer bees.
Jeff Bagwell.
Yeah, Jeff Bagwell. He's like sitting on the imaginary chair. I always mimicked his swing. Like I always did that, and it worked. It was
really?
Great. Yeah. I used to love Jeff Bagwell.
Yeah. I think I remember having his baseball cards.
Yeah.
Be like, all right, Jeff Bagwell's the man.
Yeah. It's funny. I mean, like they were like in my eyes, like they were respectable when they were in a National League, but once they went to the American League, they just like turned evil. It's just like, especially because of the 2017 World Series, obviously. But
who were your favorite players back then?
Oh, I was a big Eric Karros fan.
Oh yeah.
That's the only reason why in high school when I wore when I played baseball, I wore 23, and my coach was like, "Oh, you're wearing 23 because of Michael Jordan." I'm like, "No, I'm wearing 23 because of Eric Karros." It's like, "Oh, okay." Like, "Oh yeah, I'm an educated baseball fan." Like,
yeah, he was still playing when I was working there.
Yeah, he was great.
I remember I seen him.
UCLA Bruin too.
Yeah,
he was a Bruin. Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
You remember Ryan Sandberg?
I do. Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, I remember. Like,
Rhino.
I used to like his card.
Yeah, the Rhino. Yeah. Hall of Famer. I mean, I think he just passed away recently too.
Really? He passed away?
I think he did. Yeah.
Oh wow! I hadn't
recently.
Heard
yeah. Not this year. I think it was like a year ago or 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Yeah, the Rhino. Yeah.
Part of my childhood gone there.
Oh yeah. Those old Chicago Cubs teams. I mean, they were always like pretty decent. They were like that lovable loser, but they had some good teams like Mark Pryor. Like you said, the Rhino.
Yeah.
They always had these guys who are just kind of like they became like good players for their teams, kind of like the Oakland A's. Yeah.
And then remember Roberto Alomar?
Yeah.
He had a brother too, Sandy Alomar.
Sandy Alomar. Yes.
And the guy you mentioned earlier, Ricky Henderson. He was
Ricky Henderson. Yeah.
Dynamite.
Yeah. Dynamite. Yeah. I mean, I always respect the guy who, because I was like my game. Like when I played baseball, like I love stealing bases. I love being the fastest guy on the base pads. So I always respected that aspect of the game. It's just like stealing bases. Now it's just like everybody's like hitting and swinging out of their cleats, and it's just like, dude, like the Arizona Diamondbacks they're a young team, and they're fast. That Corbin Carroll, that kid is gonna be really good for years to come. I mean, that was a solid draft pick by the Diamondbacks.
Yeah. Right. Anything you're looking forward to this weekend to watch?
Oh, football. But I'm looking forward to my Rams. It was a toss-up, commish, because I have both LA quarterbacks. I have Herbert and I have Stafford, and Herbert's projected higher. But I just like this whole thing with his non-throwing hand with the injury is just kind of got me a little worried because I mean he's gonna have Micah Parsons in his face. I know Van Der Esch is out for the game, but he's gonna have somebody in his face constantly. So it's like I'd rather go with Stafford. I mean, the Cardinals have given up a lot of points to quarterbacks. I don't really like to listen to all the analysts, but the analysts I do respect, they'd say that Stafford was the play. So I'm like, I don't run without a hand in the sea because I got a tough matchup against Jaime. Jaime's already up by a tutty. He's up by 7. So he played Javonte. When Javonte scored that 2-point conversion, I was like, damn it! Like, oh man! I'm like 2 extra points. Nice. So he would have been up by 5, but now he's up by 7. So every point counts against this guy.
Oh yeah.
I lost to him in week 2 by 1 point.
Wow.
That's my only loss.
Man, yeah, he's tough.
He's a tough guy. And then Commish, I mean, I play you next week, so that's gonna be even tougher. I'm like, oh man.
Well, I played Jaime last week, and he got the second highest points in the league.
Yes.
Too bad for him. I got the number 1 point, most points.
Yeah. It's been a fun year so far. I mean, it's only gonna be about to be 6 weeks. I'm looking forward to how everything. Excuse me, especially with the injuries, commish. Like I said in a podcast earlier, not this podcast, but a podcast prior. Yeah. There's so many injuries. Many injuries.
That's been the story this year.
The story this year.
Every year, really.
I was just like who's back up to the backup? It's crazy. It's not. And I wanted to throw it out there, Commissioner. If anybody out there, like and subscribe, obviously. But if you have any questions, fantasy wise, if we can help you out, just put in the comments, and I'll get back to you. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll handle them.
Yeah.
All right. So I think it's a good spot to sign off. You have anything else, Brian?
No, that's it. It's always a pleasure, an honor, and a pleasure. And you're a scholar and a gentleman, Commish. And
thank you, Brian.
And I thank you, sir.
Thank you. You're the brain.
Opportunity. Say again.
I said you're the brain. You're the one who knows all the actual
stuff. I'm just like I tell my wife. I'm just the king, but I'm the king of fools. So.
All right. So if you got some questions, just put them in the comments, and Brian will answer them.
Yes.
Thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully, DG will be with us next week, and we'll see you guys again next week. All right.
All right. Ciao.